Welcome to The Explainer. I want you to just pause and picture something for a second. Think back to the sheer chaos of our modern lives before AI, the endless browser tabs, the scattered sticky notes everywhere, that overwhelming, suffocating feeling of trying to process a mountain of information while barely keeping your head above water, right? We've all been there. Now, imagine the absolute contrast. Think about a calm, beautifully structured life after AI. You type a simple prompt and boom, suddenly hours of studying, working, and planning are just instantly perfectly organized. It's a profound mindset shift. It takes us from being these overwhelmed, stressed-out humans to literally becoming AI-augmented productivity engines. But, and this is a big but, beneath this incredibly seductive promise of a completely frictionless reality, there is a hidden cognitive toll. So today, we are going to unpack exactly what we are secretly trading for this newfound calm.
Okay, let's dive into this. John Nosta, writing in Psychology Today, hit the nail on the head with an incredibly profound observation. He noticed that when really brilliant people start relying heavily on AI, their writing doesn't necessarily get worse. In fact, it actually becomes cleaner. It gets incredibly well crafted. But the magic disappears. That unrepeatable, completely unique configuration of a human mind, the quirks, the unexpected cognitive leaps we make, it just gets erased. And the result, as he perfectly puts it, we're left with fluency without fingerprints.
And that right there brings us to the core tension of our explainer today. We are living inside a massive paradox. On one side, we are gaining absolute machine efficiency. We can get wildly complex work done in literal seconds. But on the flip side, we are risking something huge. We're secretly, quietly, eroding our own cognitive abilities. We are essentially trading our irreplaceable human mind for standardized perfection. It feels exactly like progress, but if we aren't careful, actually, scratch that, if we aren't highly intentional, it's actually substitution.
So I really have to ask you directly, are we outsourcing way more than just our words? When you pull up that chat window to summarize a long article, or draft a tricky email, or plan out your whole week, is your reliance subtly shifting? Are you still using the tool just to save a little time, or have you actually started using the tool to replace your own thinking process?
To answer that, here is our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the AI efficiency trap and the cognitive offloading paradox. Then we'll look at the decline in critical thinking and the social penalty of AI. And finally, we'll pivot to some real solutions, covering frameworks for human agency and strategic collaboration. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The AI efficiency trap.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how we brought these tools into our lives specifically to eliminate chaos, but ironically, they are creating a totally different kind of mental fatigue. The stark contrast between the utopian marketing we are constantly sold and our actual daily exhaustion is just staggering. The big promise was streamlined workflows, faster research, and finally ending those repetitive bottlenecks. But the reality? Well, because AI makes generating content so cheap and easy, we experience massive workload creep. You ask for one draft, then maybe 3 variations, then a quick summary of those, and suddenly you aren't really doing the work anymore. You've basically just become a highly stressed middle manager for a machine. It absolutely feels productive in the moment, but it's quietly draining your mental reserves.
Section 2. The cognitive offloading paradox.
To figure out why this feels so incredibly draining, we have to look at the psychological science behind it. Specifically, a concept that has evolved super rapidly over the last 20 years. Cognitive offloading. Basically, this is the act of delegating your mental tasks to an external aid just to reduce your cognitive load. And look, inherently, offloading is great. It frees up precious brain space for much more meaningful, creative stuff. But here is the paradox. When we rely on it way too much, especially for complex reasoning, we stop doing the heavy lifting our brains actually need to stay sharp. We enter this weird state of cognitive laziness where our internal mental muscles literally begin to atrophy.
Just look at how fast this whole thing has escalated. Back in 2011, researchers identified the Google effect. That's when we started offloading our memory. We realized we didn't need to remember actual facts anymore, just where to search for them. Fast forward to 2024, and we were offloading repetitive tasks to AI assistants. Pretty standard, right? But today, in the 2026 epoch, we are seeing the AI effect. We are absolutely no longer just offloading our memory or basic routine tasks. We are offloading our actual reasoning, our interpretation, and our core decision-making. We are quite literally letting the machine do the thinking for us.
Section 3. The decline of critical thinking.
And when we let the machine do the thinking for long enough, well, the data shows exactly what happens to our brains. A really landmark 2025 study by Michael Gerlich surveyed 666 participants and found this incredibly strong negative correlation between frequent AI tool use and critical thinking abilities. So the crucial point is, the more you use AI, the lower your independent problem-solving skills actually drop. And it's especially dangerous for younger users. Those ages 17 to 25 showed the highest AI dependence and the absolute lowest reasoning scores. Heavy users just start to blindly accept AI outputs without any independent verification. They totally lose the friction of the struggle, and the struggle is exactly where real learning happens.
Section 4. The social penalty of AI.
Now, the costs of this aren't just internal to your own brain. There are invisible external costs to integrating AI into everything you do. Check out this surprising statistic. A recent study found that radiologists who consistently used AI in their workflows actually faced a 39% higher burnout rate. No way, right? You'd think it would help. But why did this happen? Because instead of simply diagnosing patients like they used to, they were constantly managing, verifying, and second-guessing the AI's outputs. The constant pressure and all that evaluative overhead just completely amplified their emotional exhaustion.
And honestly, it gets even worse when we look at how your peers actually view you. A fascinating Duke University study proved the existence of an AI social penalty. Think about it like this. If a professional, say a lawyer, asks a human colleague or a paralegal for help summarizing a big document, their managers perceive them as highly competent and diligent. But if that exact same professional uses a generative AI tool to do the exact same job, they are suddenly perceived as lazier, less competent, and highly replaceable. Because of this massive stigma, workers are actively hiding their AI use. They're treating things like ChatGPT like a dirty secret rather than an amazing productivity tool.
Section 5. Frameworks for Human Agency. So, we have this incredible tool that can beautifully structure our lives, but it also threatens to erode our thinking and damage our professional reputations. So how do we fix this? Well, researchers have developed the AI-AR matrix to help us reclaim our minds, and this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we need to actively protect. AI erodes our awareness through invisible nudging, so we have to fight back by building real AI literacy. It erodes our interpretation by flattening out our complex emotions into simple data points, like giving you a basic mood score. We protect that through deep, reflexive journaling without any screens. AI erodes our capacity for action by offering this instant escape hatch the very second we feel confused. We counter this by consciously embracing cognitive struggle. We absolutely have to do the hard work to maintain our autonomy.
Section 6. Strategic collaboration.
All right, so how do we practically do this day to day? We need to organize our workflows so that we control the AI rather than letting the algorithm totally dictate our reality. The single most powerful shift you can make is separating your work into two distinct buckets. First up, thinking sessions. These are completely 100% AI-free. You use them for your first drafts, your brainstorming, and your deep strategy. You have to sit in the discomfort of not knowing the answer, because that is exactly where your reasoning develops. Then and only then do you move over to execution sessions. These are AI-assisted. You only open the AI when you already have a fully developed point of view and you just need some help summarizing, formatting, or translating. You absolutely have to do the thinking before you ever open the chat window.
Now, to make sure those execution sessions don't completely spiral out of control, you should use the Mind Studio time boxing method. It's super effective. Step 1. Set a strict time limit for the task. Step 2. Define exactly what done looks like before you type a single prompt. Step 3. Batch your similar AI tasks together so you aren't exhausting yourself context switching all day. Step 4. Stop immediately when your criteria are met. Don't fall for that addictive slot machine psychology of asking for just one more variation. And finally, Step 5. Take 10 minutes completely away from the AI to review the output independently. This ensures you actually own the final product.